Hello and welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I am your host, Christine Innes. Super delighted to have from all the way over the other side of the world the very beautiful Jeanette joining me. Thank you, beautiful, for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love this. I
Like we're
get
both,
I get vibed on doing podcasts and helping people.
I know, isn't it amazing? Like we sometimes forget how much information we have to share to be able to inspire other people.
Yes. Yes. It is so true. And it amazes me that what I'm relaying and, teaching, everybody doesn't know yet. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing to me. But I'm older than most people because I'm 64. So I've been around a little longer than most of the podcasts that I get interviewed from.
I hear ya, I hear ya. I'm about to hit 50 in about a year and a half. So yeah, it's almost like people like going, "Oh, how'd you learn that?" I said, "It's life. It's life, darling. Just wait. There's more to come."
Yeah, it's all part of the show.
It is. Look, before I get
Yep.
myself carried away, because there's so much I want to talk about today with you, I'm going to hand it over to you, beautiful, and I'm going to get you to introduce yourself to our audience, and then we're going to have the most delightful conversation.
Thanks, Christine. I am a 60, huh? Yeah, I'm a 64-year young grandmother of two kids, two grandkids, I should say. I have two adult kids also, and I love working with women. I've been in the health, fitness, gymnastics, in the four walls of a gym since I was 9 years old. And from that, developed my elite gymnastics competition to college, and then, of course, to teaching fitness classes for about 18 years. But my passion is working with women and teaching them how they can earn a recurring income, as I was able to do starting in 1990. So I came out of retirement in 2018 when COVID hit and built my platform and said, 20 years retired, it's been good, raise the kids, they're gone. And it was time to get out and make a difference again.
Yeah. I love everything that you're all about. First of all, we've got so much in common. I've got a grown son. I've got two grandbabies as well. So, like, I mean, it's just the best. Like, I just feel like it's the best moment because you get to be the fun
The best.
grandparent. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually, I love being a grandparent. I said, if I could have done that first, I would have done that first.
Yeah.
I actually just got back from the river. I took my three and a half year old granddaughter to the river because we have sunshine today for the first time in since summer last year. And she loves exploring and looking for rocks, and it's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to learn more. Obviously, like you've grown up in health and fitness, and obviously you would have seen the change in that industry over the years. Because when I was, back in the day, it was all about thigh gap. Like that was literally how you were determined, like your weight, your image, like all that sort of stuff. Whereas now we're doing it more on that very holistic sort of, image, but also
Mhm.
how you feel. Like how you feel is determined, where that was never talked
Mhm.
about back then.
Never. And think about the food pyramid that finally, you know, ended up in the garbage can somewhere. Finally, after so many years of an inverted pyramid, the food pyramid was horrible. But you're right. Back in the day, it used to be diet, diet, diet. Go on this diet, this diet, that, grapefruit diet, whatever. But when you really understand diets, the core word is die. And truly, it's about deprivation. That's what dieting is. It's depriving yourself of things that naturally you have a propensity or your body's craving. So it's really about diets don't work. They never have. And thank goodness I had that, mindset when I was 9 because of growing up around coaches who were health conscious and always made sure that the gymnasts were eating clean, raw, things like that. So, but today it's really about teaching how to look at the food labels first. If you can't pronounce the first 5 things on the label, don't buy it, because this government, in America at least, allows 1,000 toxic chemicals to be put in our foods, where Europe is 300 toxic chemicals. So from that standpoint, you're really taking your health at your own risk, because in our society, I hate to beat up on big pharma and medical, but really their whole goal is to keep us sick. And so we have to take our own health into our hands and be preventive, which is, eating clean, and the toxins are everywhere. Air we breathe, the products we put on our face, the water we drink, foods we eat, and our body does not know what to do with these toxic buildup. There's just masses of toxins in us. And that's really how disease, autoimmune issues, inflammation, that's how that occurs, because our body is sick with toxicity. It's very acidic. And that's really where disease, cancer, all that can grow very rapidly. So I love teaching women, especially, how to eat clean and become more alkaline. So it's about detoxing the body, intermittent fasting, which used to be the big thing way back when, and it's finally being recognized again, thank goodness, about 5 years ago. So I love teaching educational things where I'm just the messenger, and then I can, put them in touch with the evidence.
Yeah. How much is like the change in someone's mindset essential to it? I mean, I've always been a plus size person, and like as I've gotten older, I've realized that it's the mindset is the most important part of it. Yes, I already know what to eat. I know like what I should be doing, but if I'm not in that right mindset, I'm going to sabotage, and I still do. I
Right?
sabotage so much of it.
Yeah. That is such a great question, Christine. I like to say, first of all, you need to find out what paradigms are pushing you into doing what you're doing today. Because we all grew up in a house with parents or the elders around us who did certain things. They had beliefs, they had, things that were ritualistic. You grew up in that environment, so you've adopted. By the age of 7, we've picked up those paradigms subconsciously. But as we start adulting, I say over 20, you don't recognize that those paradigms are holding you back. For instance, everybody in my family is big boned and, larger trunks. So that's the way I'm going to be. But that's just what you heard. Now, is that the truth? See, the brain doesn't know whether or not we're lying to it or telling the truth. So you may as well set up the mindset for positivity to change things that are just bugging you, especially those paradigms that are keeping us stuck. Women have paradigm blockage around money and weight. Those are the two biggies. So it's really important that you can recognize first, and then it's called pattern interrupt. So you have to interrupt that thought of, well, I'm craving sugar, so let's just do the sugar thing. So interrupting, wear a rubber band or clap your hands or say something out loud, cancel, which is what I used to do, or stomp your foot, something physical to interrupt that thought, and then turn it around, reinvent that thought, and do it consistently. 30 days is a habit, 90 days, you own it.
Yeah.
So the pattern interrupt is really a critical piece of that whole mindset thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like one of the biggest things that you said is sort of like we've got to start questioning it. And it's because a lot of the times we just went with the flow because that's what we were told. And we trusted, like you're saying, we trusted
Yep.
our parents, we trusted our elders, like what they're
Yes.
saying was truth. But as
Yes.
we get older, it's actually time for
Yes.
us to start questioning all those things that we've been told. Is it really true? Or now I've got access.
Yes.
We didn't have
Yes.
the internet back in the day. Now you've got access to the internet, so you can go on.
Right.
You should always trust Google, but you've got access
Oh, yes.
more information out there to start
Yeah. Duck,
questioning.
duck, go.
Yes.
You know what? That's yeah, duck, duck, go. That's the bottom line, Christine, because really, unless you recognize, you've always made 75,000 a year and you've never been able to break that. Or everybody in your family was blue collar, so of course you're going to be blue collar. When you get to the point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when you can say, okay, what is going on here? And then really start. I love journaling. Tell the gals journal. Just write down every free flow of information. Write down all that stuff that you were told was true when you grew up. And you will start seeing some big belief systems that just do not align with who you are today. And then you have to take ownership of that if you want to change.
Mm. I love that part about taking ownership. I think that's the biggest way that energetically as well that we can start breaking the patterns because when we own it, we're no longer giving control to somebody else.
Yes. Oh, that is so. I love this example. It makes everybody laugh, but think about a great grandma who every Sunday was pot roast, every Sunday, and then grandma, and then mom, and then me, pot roast on Sundays. Great grandma used to cut the butts off the ends of the pot roast. And so, what did grandma do? What did mom do? And so, one of us said, Why why did she cut the butts off the end of the pot roast? And it was because she didn't have a pan big enough to fit the pot roast. That's the only reason. But all those generations of women cut it off thinking, oh, it must taste better, or this must not be good for us. So you go with the flow of belief, but you should be questioning, especially if it's interfering with your growth.
Yeah. I love that analogy so much. I use it so often with my clients. So I like when you started, I'm like, oh, I love this so much because it's so true. Like even now
Yeah.
I have like, you know, I look at how I parent my son and then how he parents his kids is completely different. And I was sort of at the start triggered a little bit going, well, why aren't
Yes.
you doing it the way I was doing it? But I mean, it's just beautiful that they're starting to adapt their own ways. And, obviously it's a blend between the two different
Yes.
relationships. But, we sort of can also get
Right.
triggered ourselves going, well, why aren't you doing it my way? But we forget that they're open to new
Yes.
information and new opportunities as well.
Yes. I think that women who go through self-awareness and personal growth and, are on a journey, I'm a lifetime learner, I call myself. I love learning. And women like that are so much more okay with their child or their kids raising their kids in the manner of which fits their paradigms. So, yeah, you have to embrace that. Don't get on the bad side of a daughter or a son that have grandkids, that's for sure.
Yes. Oh, exactly. I just let them be. Just, like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's their opportunity to be their parent. Like, that's their time. We've had ours. But it is very
Yes.
interesting because that's
Yeah.
also, I look going, oh, well, maybe that's how my parents thought. Maybe that's how even my grandparents thought watching me parent my children, or even how I've made certain decisions in my life too, because then you can start to
Mhm.
see how they've sort of maybe disagreed, but we've gone ahead and done it anyway.
Right. Yep. And when you look at generations, like my great grandfather wrote a book about his life and where he came from and our roots and all that stuff, which I so appreciate now. when he, wrote it in 79 and gave it to us, it's like, what is it? I mean, come on. But I treasure it because there's so much that, you can learn about why you do what you do
Mm.
based on heritage. The other thing about women I wanted to make sure that I don't forget is in the world we live today, as you know, it's all hyperactive, internet, computer, loud noises, lights, flashing, running around. Our cortisol level is so high. It's the stress hormone that's in the brain. And when it is so elevated, the fat, especially around our gut, the visceral fat, no way you'll ever get rid of it until you do things that will lower that stress level. It's really
Mm.
important. And women just don't recognize that as something that impacts their weight. It does. And
Yeah.
the last is protein, eating enough protein to match your goal weight, whatever your goal weight is. If it's, 150, you should be eating 150 grams of protein a day, you know,
Right.
because that's your metabolism.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see, it's always been the opposite. Any woman I work with, they eat a third of that, and the rest is carbs. Well, it's salads and stuff. Well, doesn't matter. You need to have the protein because we lose about 10% of our muscle, every decade, and that adds up. So I teach resistant exercise, with cans of soup for older, more decrepit people that need to still stimulate their muscles, or bands or weights or equipment from the gym, but doing the trunk, the waist down first, because those are our biggest muscles. Our butt and our thighs and our glutes, those are the biggest muscles. So we want to get those activated. We're not going to become bodybuilders. We're not going to look like muscle men because women's bodies just don't do that naturally. So, but it will rev up your metabolism, and metabolism that's burning is going to burn the calories that you take in instead of storing it as fat. So
Mm.
those three things: stress for sure, protein, pacing, and intermittent fasting and detoxing.
Mm. It's interesting that you bring up stress because, sometimes I think, oh, I'm not stressed. But then I'm like, oh, well, why can't I lose the weight? But then I look at not just where I'm at the moment, but even past. So, you know, I've been through a lot of stress in the last 18 years. And that stress, a lot of people
Mm,
forget that it's stored in your body and it takes some time for your
yes,
body to
yes,
let go of
yes.
it.
You are spot on. And that's one thing that women do not realize. It
Mm,
is, it's got a long memory.
yeah.
It's got a long memory. And you can meditate and do yoga, but I found the fastest, most targeted scientific way is adaptogens. They're
Mm,
botanical plants that grow in different parts of the world and they adapt
yeah.
to the environment.
Yeah.
So when we take adaptogens in an elixir or whatever,
Yeah.
man, it totally gives us that homeostasis, which is key.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I want to touch on also too is like I'm fast approaching 50. Let's talk about menopause too, because a lot of people forget that menopause and as your body starts to change, learning that,
Yeah.
what you could handle, even with a stress reactor, what you could handle when you were 20, you sometimes might not be able to handle when you're, fast approaching menopause because the chemicals in your body is changing as well.
The chemicals, the hormones, yeah, we lose our feminine hormones,
Yeah.
and that's why, you see women that are postmenopause, like myself, the skin gets crepey, more crepey. It's not as plump
Mm.
because you're losing the humectants and the water in the tissue as we age. But you can you can counteract that by doing the protein and resistant exercise. So that's a win. But yeah, there's so many great herbal concoctions for hormone replacement if you don't want to do drug hormone
Yeah.
replacements. I never had to. thankfully. But I took, handful of this and a handful of that. I was having hot flashes, I swear, for 10 years. Honest to goodness, 10
Yeah.
years. It just
Yeah.
wouldn't stop. But
Yeah.
there's some beautiful new products in the marketplace that address hormones or lack thereof that are fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just being educated.
Yeah. How important it is that, like, I mean, we all have business coaches, but sometimes we forget the most important asset that we have is our health, and we actually don't pay for a health coach.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, think about this. Why would you want to achieve wealth or, big money, free time
Mm.
when your health is in the toilet? You can't get on the floor and play with your grandkids. You can't travel because you might have a heart attack, cardiovascular event when you're flying. There's no quality of life. And so I'm on a total mission to educate people so that they own it. They own their health
Yeah.
instead of letting the doctors tell them what they need and what to do. Because
Mm.
truly, there's reasons for medical doctors. Absolutely. I blew my knee out. Thank God I, had knee surgery done by professionals. But from the standpoint of drugging this country, especially, we are so overdrugged in this country. You know,
Mm.
kids in this country, 50% of them are overweight. A quarter of them are considered clinically obese. And so you have to look at a country that once had it all, shining light on the hill. But what happened to all of our health? I mean, give
Mm.
me a break. Food, the food choices, lack of lowering the stress, getting rid of toxins. So I think people are becoming more educated today. I really do because of the internet. But it's just a matter of owning that and taking your health into your own hands.
Absolutely. I was at the, funny enough, I was at the pharmacy yesterday and I was getting my prescription, and I have very severe asthma. So I do take, a preventative with it. And then I've like wandered over and I'm like going, oh my goodness, there's so much out there in the health food, like in the vitamins and all that sort of stuff. But then you also don't really know what's in there either. And it's very overwhelming when you're
Yes,
standing
that's
there going, what do I need? Oh, that says stress, but that says stress and something else. And you're thinking, well, how do you know? And I think that's where
yes,
people like you are really crucial to work with. So we can sort of break down to really get, well, instead of spending $500 on all of these supplements, there's probably targeted
yes.
supplements that you as an
Mhm.
individual need.
Well, and also there's companies that don't use crap in their vitamins, that don't use fillers, that don't use
Yeah.
dehydrated vitamins, so it's finding those companies that you can purchase
Mm.
direct from, which is what I've always done, including meat, going to farm, you know, clean farms that don't
Mm.
use GMOs and things like that to order
Yeah.
steaks and stuff to be sent in. But it's
Yeah.
really about, yes, you're going to pay a little bit more, but what's it worth? The price
Yeah.
tag of health after the fact, you're going to be paying money for the medical treatment and drugs and all that care. Forget
Yeah.
it. I'd much rather do it up front.
Yeah.
And that's the paradigm that, it's trying to shift women's paradigm because when moms have younger kids, they do the grocery shopping and cooking usually. Think about how much your kids are absorbing, taking in, and eating the foods that you present. And is that okay?
Mm.
Usually, if mama doesn't eat well and doesn't exercise, the kiddos follow track.
Yeah.
So, not to burden moms anymore because we wear way too many hats as it is. We have to take care of ourselves first.
Yeah.
But, really taking ownership of how you grocery shop. Just shop on the outside walls of the grocery store. I say avoid the center because
Yeah.
that's where all the crap is. That's where all the
Yeah.
sugary stuff is and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Just the four walls of the outside of the store, perfect, or farmer's market or whatever, but that's
Yeah.
the only way to shop.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of pressure. I mean, we're going through, cost of living crisis over here as
Oh,
well. And
yeah.
it
Hmm.
is quite difficult, where, cost of housing's like on the increase, all that sort of stuff. And I can completely relate. I just recently, like I lost my house like during the cyclone, like I had to quickly move, like all those sorts of
Ah,
things,
yeah.
but how, like for me, I'm sort of like going, my body is my vehicle. And as I've gotten
Hmm.
older, I'm really starting to appreciate the importance of it. I wouldn't have
Yes.
appreciated it in my 20s, my 30s, or even in my early 40s. Like it's only my late 40s. Am I really starting to truly appreciate that my body is
Yes.
my vehicle to where I want to go?
And you're also feeling the changes,
Yes.
which, when you're younger, more active, energetic, you could eat whatever you wanted, nothing would stick to the
Yeah.
ribs. You start noticing those changes. And women, metabolisms do slow down because of hormones, because we're not as
Mm.
active. We definitely are not lifting weights or eating enough protein. So all those forces working against
Mm.
us, you've got to conceptualize this is what I need to be doing every day.
Yeah.
And your body will change. And what happens, people are just shocked by this, but when you eat more protein and you pace it throughout the day, the visceral fat starts to melt off your belly. The visceral fat is the sticky brown fat, it's the bad fat, but it's there because it's trying to protect our internal organs. It's holding all those toxins. So fat cells are grapes or raisins. They're either filled with fat and toxic matter, or they're raisins and they've shrunk. We don't develop more fat cells as we age. It's just the size of them. So getting rid of the gut areas is such a crucial part of better health because
Mm.
then you're taking care of your gut as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. With what you've already learnt, now in your life, um, and what would you have said to your younger self? Like, what words of wisdom would you have said to your younger self?
So I had the words of wisdom because I had coaches around me. I was training elite when I was 11. So I was in the gym 7 hours a day. So I didn't have a choice, honestly. So I was raised in that environment. But if I wasn't, I would say to my younger self, avoid sugar as much as possible, eat clean. Don't, if you can't read the first five ingredients on a package, don't eat it, because it's probably chemicalized anyway. And I always have been a protein eater, so that was not a big deal for me. It's just finding convenient ways to, swallow, drink 36 grams of protein, for instance, in the morning, which I do with my shake. And it's
Yeah.
fast, it's quick, it's convenient. I eat for fuel. I don't eat for comfort, which is another thing, looking at those paradigms that I have women look at and assess, because then you can notice if it's a comfort food that you're looking for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look, I've been there and I still do it, but I also am kind to myself and realizing that we can have those moments, but the moments get less and less as you start becoming more aware with it. And I think,
More aware because you want
yes,
to feel good.
yes,
You want to feel
absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. How important is it for women to really just be kind to ourselves? Because we are so harsh. We are so harsh, and
Yes,
there's so much information. There's so much, criticism of us, like all that sort of stuff. But I found that the more I'm kind to myself, the better decisions I start making as well.
absolutely. I 100% agree. It used to be the old moms, raising kids was like, I just don't have any time for myself. It's like, let's go to the beach this weekend, just the girlfriends. It's like, are you kidding me? My house would burn down. I mean, there's no way my husband could take care. I mean, so women have always been, I'm the only one that can do it. But we do have to step back and say, wow, what if I wasn't here? What if I'm gone tomorrow?
Yeah.
And allowing the other family members, what have you,
Mm,
help out. Especially like when I went through a divorce after 16 years, I had a 2 and a 9-year-old. And I've always been independent, but I reached out. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
I mean, it's thank goodness I had that awareness to, open my home and say, sisters, come live here. I just need help. I need,
Yeah.
and it was the
Yeah.
best thing.
I love
But
it.
taking time outs, even if it's 15 minutes or a weekend, it's still
Mm,
important. It adds up.
yeah. What's
Yep.
the one piece of wisdom that you would want to leave with people who are watching today?
So I think you said it earlier is we've got to take our health care into our own hands and really figure out a way to be proactive with that and learn what works and what doesn't work. Diets don't work and deprivation doesn't work. The body is a beautiful, it's perfect the way God created us. But we've just screwed it up by foods we eat and the toxins, pollutants, and all that jazz. So figure out a way to deep clean those cells,
Mm,
cleanse, doing intermittent fasting at least a couple times a month, because that will give you a reset.
yeah.
And then you feel so good after you do it too. I mean, it's just like, so one of my gals said, I feel like I ate a rainbow. I have never had this much energy. I've never slept this soundly. Your
Yeah.
body is now doing what it naturally should be doing.
Yeah.
So be proactive with your health. And if you find that things are stopping you, start journaling and writing down what are the paradigms that are keeping me stuck. Those are the
Yeah.
two pieces of wisdom I would inspire.
Oh, absolutely amazing. I think, as I said, we have so many business coaches, like, because we want to, be successful. We want to, have more wealth, but our health is our biggest investment and also our biggest commodity for ourselves. So we need to really start taking care of it. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom
Absolutely.
here today.
It's been a pleasure.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Before we go, I've got 5 questions that we've been asking all of our guests, which is just a little bit of fun, just so people
O-
get to know you a little bit more.
Okay,
So if you're up for it, we can dive into them.
I'm up for it.
Cool. If you've got
I'm up
some,
for it.
I love it. I love it. If you had some spare time, would you prefer to sit down and read a book, or would you prefer to watch a movie?
Read a book,
Yeah. Are you
an
a
audible.
Oh, okay. So do you prefer like the Audible, Kindle, or a real book? Is it more the Audible?
I like the real book because I like highlight pens. It's like every page is highlighted in 3 different colors,
Oh my
keeping with
God.
themes. That's just how my
Oh, yes.
brain works.
No, I love it. I have a stationery addiction. Like I mean I love like good stationery. So like I've got so many pens of all
Oh,
different colors and that. But yeah, like the highlighters, yeah, I totally understand with that. So yeah, I am on board with that as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
if you could go to your dream destination, and would you prefer to fly or to travel by boat?
Oh, I've been on a few cruises and I really enjoyed them. I think a cruise. I'm so sick of flying in
Yeah,
undersized seats and
yeah,
crowds.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Enjoy the
yeah,
journey, I say.
I'm a water girl anyway. I love
Yes,
water. So,
same, same, absolutely.
yes.
Yeah. And if you could, you're hosting an amazing dinner party, you've got a special ticket to invite one person from either the past or the present. Who would it be?
I'd invite Jesus.
Ooh. Interesting. Yes.
I
Oh my
would invite
goodness.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The conversations would be amazing.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Now, if I couldn't have him, um, I would, you always think of the death of a relative or whatever,
Yeah.
but I think who I've always just loved, Princess Diana.
Mm.
She was just such a beautiful soul.
Yes.
And I would
Yes.
love to just sit with her and
Mm.
chat about her life. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you on that. And if you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Energy
Oh, yes, I was going to say magnetic because I just find
or
you, yes,
passion,
yes.
passion. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here on the show today. We're going to
Thank
drop all the
you.
links that people can reach out to you and really invest in themselves and invest in their health.
I will send my free gifts so they can either go to one of the lead magnets is about taking inventory of your kitchen, your health, and the other one is about paradigms
Yep.
and mindsets. So I'll send those and
Oh,
put those
amazing.
in
And
show
we'll,
notes. That'd be great.
yep,
Yeah,
perfect. We will definitely add all of that in there. Thank you so much,
good.
Jeanette, for being here today. Really
Thanks, Christine.
appreciate
It was a
my ple-
pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. And for all of those watching this episode, if you've liked it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, put your comments below, and remember to live life to the fullest every single day. Love and light to you all.